Okay, we on chapter 17. Let's look at chapter 8. Chapter 17, chapter 18. Let's look at chapter 18 again. Chapter 18, verse 34. You got that?
I got it.
Will you read that for me, Mo?
It says, and then the white robe was trampled on the Roman seal, and then he tore it into shreds. He took the mighty stone in his hand as though it were a pebble from the brook, and cast it into the side.
Oh my goodness. Did you hear that, sister? Now, this is totally different than what I heard in church.
Yes.
He said that he took a stone,
Mm-hmm.
and he took a stone and thought it was a big, strong stone, but he took the stone as though it was a pebble
Right.
and threw it in the brook. Now, this is symbolic. You know how they put Jesus in a tomb?
Yes, sir.
And at the tomb door was a big stone to the door.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
So now this telling us that what we thought was a big stone on this tomb of ours, it's nothing but a little pebble. We could kick it aside. What is that? All those things are so hard for you and me to
Right.
overcome.
That's
The
right.
things of the world, the partying, the strip clubs, the getting high, the fornicating, and all these different things that we think is so hard to overcome, let them go. Now, I remember, and I like that because both of y'all are here. I remember, this is important, because I was telling somebody this. My daughter's mother told me one day that my father never seen my mother naked.
Right.
And if I wasn't sharp as I was, I would say, man, that's crazy. But you remember when we was younger in junior high school and we had a girlfriend? And when we first, we was wrong. And you know, we was wrong for doing that, but we seen so much stuff, we started trying to mess with these people's daughters. And we was
Right,
wrong now.
right,
But we
right,
should have been
right.
lifting them up and telling them to wait till they get married. But we didn't do that. But when we had sexual relationship, what did we do? We cut the lights out and we got under the cover.
That's right.
See? And then after you finish, you get back up and say, go ahead and go out the door. But now they got mirrors. They got all kind of stuff. And
Yes,
this
sir.
didn't transpire until we
right.
start amalgamating.
Right.
Before we start integrating, we didn't do none of those things, Mo.
That's true.
We didn't try to look on no central dress because we know Nicodemus already said, don't go back through your mother's womb. But because of European psychology, you know, and the French chickens that come out of France, we try to be a
Watch
part
out.
of that. So now, bring immortality to life, resurrection. So you see, when they're talking about the stone that was at the tomb of Jesus, that tomb, that stone is the thing that we got to overcome. That stone you see right here is getting high, cussing, fornicating, doing all those things that's diametrically opposed to what God say do.
Yes,
And we can
sir.
just cast that stuff aside. We just don't want to let go anyway. Because, man, them
Islam,
things of the world is your passions and your desires.
Islam.
Yes, sir.
That's why we had chapter 5 last week.
That's
And the
right.
more everybody got up there, all of us, teaching about chapter 5. Because when you're in chapter 5, you're talking about the temple.
Yes,
You're
sir.
talking about man is the temple of God. The only way you can be the temple of God if you do God's things. Now, if you walk around and ain't doing what God says, this ain't the temple of God. This is the temple of the thieves. Just like a lot of brothers changed things in the literature and said that it was changed in the chamber. You can't change them, the Jew Ali said. Whatever Noble Jew Ali said is law because it comes from Allah.
Islam.
So now when we talk about the resurrection and talking about Jesus rose from the dead, that's what it meant. He rose, he rose, he rose from the dead.
Right,
and when
right,
he rose,
right.
he started looking different.
That's right.
He don't look the same no more. He don't walk the same no more.
No,
and
he
that's what
don't.
we have to do. That's what we're doing. We're resurrecting ourselves from the dead. So when we go to church next Sunday, and when we hear the preacher talking about the resurrection of Jesus, take Jesus' name out of there and put your name there.
Thank you.
And say, Sister Mason Bey is going into the wilderness for self-examination. Let's say Brother Navi is going into the wilderness for self-examination so we could be resurrected, so we could rise out of the flesh because it's not in the flesh to think, and it's not in the bones to reason. Man is not the body nor the soul. He's a spirit and a part of Allah. And you meet Allah in the spirit and in truth. So in the spirit of truth, this is where we meet Allah at. We're not meeting Allah with no hocus pocus.
No, sir.
See, that's how we was taught. That's why we crazy. What you expect? You got me looking for a Superman. You got me looking at a booger man. You got me looking at somebody that don't lay eggs. So how you think I'm changing? Then I got my children. I'm buying my children presents. Tell them that some dude came down the chimney and bought it. You know what? I'm a disrespect to my family.
Yes,
I'm a
sir.
disrespect to the community because I know better.
Yes, sir.
I know what we're supposed to do. Them children got to live through us, so we got to give our life a willing sacrifice. A willing sacrifice. Because, see, the will of man make possible the actions of the Holy Breath. And when the will of Allah and the will of man is one, then the resurrection is a fact. So that when the will of Allah, when your will and the will of God become one, that's what happened to Jesus. Jesus' spirit became one with his Father. And when his spirit became one with his Father, then he was resurrected. Now, we got a lesson, say, about when you lay in the casket.
Right.
And it say the body remaining perfect after it is fled. You're talking about the spirit. So when you see somebody laying in that casket, they ain't going to get up.
No.
Because the spirit is gone.
That's true.
So you ain't going to get resurrected that kind of way. Now, if you want to get resurrected, you should have did what you supposed to. Just like right now, we got another chance. Tomorrow ain't promised to us, but right now, today, we could try to give all these things up on the word because we still got chance to be resurrected. Just like in chapter 1. In chapter 1, it tells you, it said, many ages man is going to turn until all his lessons are learned. That means that we've been on this plane of things made. I'm talking to you in the spirit now. We've been on this plane of things manifest for many creations trying to overcome these lessons, and we will keep coming back out on this plane of things made manifest until we learn those lessons here. Then we go to the plane of soul, and then we go to the spirit.
Right.
See? Because, see, every time I talk to somebody that got a PhD, they can only talk to me about the sixth sense. See? Because, you know, the first five, you at least say exercise your five, and your five is spiritual. I mean, your five is physical. You know, smell, see, taste, hear, you know what I mean, touch. See, that's physical. And then you go on into the soul, which is your sixth sense. But I wear the seventh. So I got 7 senses. You know what I mean? I don't have 6 senses.
Okay.
You know, yeah, I don't have 6. Because, see, 6 and 7 is 13. And Jesus, Drew Ali, and all prophets of God are that number 13. And that's the black cat, they call it. You know, when you look at certain things, they're in the 13th floor. See, because on Friday the 13th, you know, the European nations, you know, 1492, you know, the European nations thought they were going to march down on us when we was in prayer at high noon, you know, and that's why it kind of hurt when I see brothers in the Masonic order, when I see sisters in the Eastern Star, you know, because when you got brothers and sisters that's in the Masonic order and in the Eastern Star, everything that they study going to take you back to Egypt.
Yes,
And it don't make sense to me. People that don't care for you, don't like you, want to, well, you steal everything we got. See? And they got us looking it one way, and it's another. Bro, we got feathers on, man. The PhD wear feathers that's tied down 33 to 30.
Yes, sir.
Yours and mine, free so free. You know how it's hot outside?
Right.
Because the melanin in our skin make us that kind of juvenile. But if you become a Mason, then that means your feathers tied down. That means your cheeks gonna get like this. See? Your cheeks gonna get like that because you're cold. You know, I couldn't even bring my water here today. I had some water in the ice box, but I had it at 33 degrees.
Right.
And at 33 degrees, it was too cold.
Yeah.
Right.
So then how can I be a Mason? You done took something to come out of Egypt and Turkey, and you're gonna take it to Europe and say that it's yours. See? And then you're going to have a password, and the name of the password, one of them is a pillar called Boaz. And Boaz is the one that married Sister Ruth.
Yes, sir.
See? He married Ruth in the Bible. And
Yes,
from
sir.
that came Obed, Jesse, King David, and now we're talking about King David. That's going back to the same resurrection.
Right.
Going back to the resurrection because there's a David and there's a Goliath. And I said this before, when I was coming up, they told me that Goliath was a big old giant.
Right.
And he had going around in the town beating up everybody. fighting everybody. Everybody was scared of him.
Right.
But David, like me, an ancient Moabite, he had a lot of heart. So he gonna do the same thing that I'm gonna do to Goliath. See? So what the David and Goliath is, that's how strong you can see if a brother or sister is. So now, your David is your higher self.
Right.
Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice.
Okay.
Justice, mercy, love, and right. That is David. Because David is of a spiritual being.
Yes.
Right.
So now Goliath is that old big old dude think somebody's scared of him. So so Goliath is your lower self. Your body of desires is a reflection of your higher self distorted by the murky ethers of the flesh. So now David and Goliath fighting. They out there rumbling, man. They throwing punches and everything. But this big old big old Goliath, he can't do too much to David because David is studying the 18 years that's missing in the Holy Bible.
Okay.
David is studying the fruit of the Spirit.
All right.
David is studying the Kalima Shahada.
Okay.
David is studying the fruits of the Spirit. So when you do these things, then that means that you wrestle not against principalities and wicked place. You see? So you doing a lot of things in the spiritual perspective. That's why Drew Ali gave us this Quran.
Okay.
See? You don't hear Moors talk about the Quran today. Because they begin to get into the Quran, then they can't charge you, brother. Because both of y'all done paid a lot of money already for something that Drew Ali gave you free. Both of y'all done paid a lot of money. And y'all 60-something years old. Y'all done paid somebody some money. Drew Ali said nationality is free, not only here, but all over the world. But it's not my fault because I gave you the literature.
Yes. Yes.
So until you get into these books that Noble Drew Ali bought us, then certain things we ain't going to see anyway. Let's look at chapter 19.
Okay.
Let's look at chapter 19. Now, let's look at verse 28. Let's look at 27 and 28.
All right.
You ready? Will you
Okay.
read that more, 27, 28?
It says, 27 says, the problem of the age has been solved. A son of man risen from the dead has shown that human flesh can be transformed into flesh divine.
Now, hold up for a minute. Now, it's talking about our flesh now. It says that our human flesh can be changed to flesh divine. Now, in our literature, it says, what is a prophet? It says a prophet is a thought of Allah manifested in the flesh.
Right.
What is an angel? An angel is a thought of Allah manifested in human flesh. What is the difference? One of them crossed the borderline at will. See? An angel takes messages, but still you got to overcome some things. But a prophet is the flesh. See, when you are in the flesh, then the things of the world have no rule over you. That's why when they seen Jesus, he had his fez on, but his halo was his character. You know how you see somebody that's on it and how bad they look? And when you see somebody that ain't on nothing doing the will of God, they have a light that they're shining. Every time I see both of you, y'all shining. But there was a time when we didn't shine. See? See, we're shining because we're doing what God say do. But when you ain't doing what God say do, then you ain't shining. You know, we below a worm. You know, so I want to read something from this something else here, Mo. You go to the next one.
It says, before the eyes of men, this flesh in which I come to you was changed with speed of light from human flesh, and so I am message that I bring to you.
Now, so we don't hear none of this talking. See? So he said, my flesh was changed. So you don't hear nobody telling you your flesh is changed. He said, our flesh is changed, Mo. Because if you ain't into the things of the world, if those worldly desires, you know what I mean, have no more rule over you, then your flesh ain't the same.
That's right.
It's not in flesh to think, and it's not in bones to read. And Jesus, so I am the message that I bring. See, when you become the message that you bring, your flesh change. See, when we together, if you the same face that you are when I'm not with you, then your flesh have changed. Don't look for no spookism in the air. Your flesh have already changed, brother, because you ain't the same that you used to be. Jesus said, what I've done, all men can do and greater. This is the same teaching that he had. All these teachings in this book talk about the lesson that Jesus went through. They talk about Jesus when he was 12 years old.
Yep.
You don't hear no more talk about him until he was 33.
This is true.
See, this is what they're talking about in the Bible.
Right.
But this is the 18 years that's missing, and you'll see the chambers that he went through. Just like you and me, there's the chamber that we got to go through, the chamber of the dead. And when we go through the chamber of the dead, in the death, we're going to become life.
Okay.
See, because in all the world, you have two things. One is death, and one is life. See, we keep spooked up and looking, when you die, you going to go to heaven.
Right.
But Noble Ali told the more that Allah never made a heaven for man. He never made a hell. We are creators and make our own. Now cease to seek for a heaven in the sky. Just open up the windows of your mind and let a heaven come in.
That's right.
And that's what these teachings do. These teachings is a heaven that we letting in.
Allah.
And when we let this heaven in, then we be living heaven on earth. So now, when we start building, when we start growing, when everything around us is peaceful, when our associations is great, that's heaven. And do
Okay.
you not know that there's such a heaven for you? God ain't never meant for us to suffer. We suffer because of our own doing. If we obeyed what our mothers told us, we wouldn't be in the condition that we're in today. I remember years ago when they first started integrating, we started moving to other neighborhoods. I used to hear people, I'm the only one live out here. I said, yeah, what that mean? You know, I remember Miles Davis that was married to
Cicely
Cicely
Tyson.
Tyson.
Yeah.
He went to the White House one time to play music. And on his way to the White House, one of the Secret Service asked him, so do you feel good that you got the opportunity to go see the president? He said, the president should feel good that he got me come to play some music. So I'm not going to put nobody above me but God.
Right.
That's right.
See? And that's how we do. Say, boss, it's raining. Do you want my raincoat? Do you want my... Stop thinking for yourself. Because men need a pattern for their life. They love to follow and not to lead. So when you talk about the resurrection, it's talking about the Moorish Science Temple of America. It's talking about the Moorish Science Temple of America because Noble Drew Ali brought us back our nationality and our divine creed.
All right.
And as I had to reiterate it in the meeting Friday, you know, that we were 3/5 of a man.
Right.
And when the Europeans say that we're 3/5 of a man, I agree. I agree with the European because if you call yourself Negro, if you call yourself colored, if you call yourself black, if you call yourself Afro-American, etc., then that's who you are. You 3/5 of a man. Because
Okay.
man today is what his forefathers was yesterday.
That's right.
And there's no one who is able to change man from the decent nature of his mother and father unless his power extends beyond the great universal creator, Allah himself. So
sir.
now,
Islam.
we resurrected because we're no longer 3/5 of a man. We got those other 2/5. We got those other 2/5 because in mathematics, I know they changed his math because you
That's
told me
right.
in school the other day, they got a whole new curriculum.
Yes, yes.
The curriculum that we had when we went to school, they didn't even have that curriculum no more.
No.
They bringing another one in.
That's right.
So you see, when the prophets say that the third and fourth generation will see his works,
Yes,
he
sir.
done blessed us. So
Yes,
we
yeah.
along with the third and fourth generation, we
Yes,
get a chance
yeah.
to see his works.
That's
Islam.
right.
Because some things are getting ready to transpire more, not just in the Moorish Science Temple of America, but in the world. And see, just like every 2,100 years, it seemed that a prophet have to come. See, Noble Drew Ali told the Moors that I could do more for you in the spirit than in the flesh. And a lot of us don't realize what we're doing. So you have a law that's called the law of karma. And
yes,
this
sir.
law of karma deals with cause and effect like a boomerang. What go around, come
Comes
around.
around.
So don't think that you could do all these things that you're doing and you ain't got to answer to God for
Right.
it.
That's
Now all
right.
these people with this old money, all these people with this old money, I guarantee you coming through the tobacco and the cotton trade. And
Oh,
you
yes,
and I,
sir.
you know how, you talking to somebody, say, she just told me to get my cotton picking hands off of her.
Yeah.
She just told me, because that's how we used to get married, each other, get your cotton picking hands off of me.
Right.
I don't mind I'm kicking pick cotton. Because I was trying to get up in the house. But they wouldn't let me in the house because they said I was too radical. See? Now, I wish now that I was got in the house because I had a better meal.
Right.
See, just like the mama. Are you the mama? No, boss. I'm not no the mama, but when the boss goes to sleep at night. So, you know, it's always an honor. But, Mo, I'm glad you asked that question because tomorrow, next Sunday, is Easter.
Yes, sir.
And our people looking for the egg, and our people fail to realize when we're talking about resurrection, we're talking about ourselves. See, resurrection applies to ourselves. And when we start studying the Word of God, when we start studying Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, or Confucius,
Yes, sir.
then we in these lessons, we become resurrected. That's why
Right.
Jesus said resurrection is a fact. So praise Allah, Mo.
All praise due to
I don't
Allah.
know more time. Give me another question, Mo.
Uh,
I know you got something to ask me. Anything about the topic.
well, you know, I was the part that got me because you know I know that you know they talk about
Okay.
they talk about how you know the rabbit lays chicken eggs, and then you know the thing that gets me is, you know, I see all Sunday, Easter Sunday is when all these children wind up getting all these brand new suits of clothes and all of that. But what are they being taught? What are they actually being taught as far as what went on in the resurrection? You know, because I hear, you know, I've heard some, they talk about how when Jesus died and he was laid in the tomb for 3 days and then he was resurrected, but that still, it doesn't make sense to me.
Islam, Mo. Well, it's not supposed to make sense to you. Because if it did make sense to you, then you still be in slavery. And you would not be resurrected. That's what you have to understand. I heard Sister Mason Bey say, man, the reason why I was going through so many changes when I was in the church, because it just didn't fit to me. It's just what I knew something was wrong. See? But we as a people, our ears as big as the rabbit. And we still can't see because many have eyes to see and have ears to hear but can't hear.
Right.
Because of European psychology, Mo.
Okay.
So, and we running and going nowhere fast. We quoting and then going nowhere fast. So when you talk about the resurrection, let's not even apply it to nobody else. Let's apply it to you and me.
Okay.
And now that we resurrected, look what you're doing. Your granddaughter, your daughter, little Drew, you're putting the spirit in your baby. You doing what God kept you here to do. See, you doing your work. You working every day, you coming home and you taking care of your business and you raising up your family. That's letting me know that you resurrected. But we keep looking for something somewhere else and not where it's supposed to be.
Islam.
We looking for a resurrection to be something else, and it's an illusion. Just like the egg. They got us living at an illusion. See? So through the teaching of the Bible, we have to let our people know what the resurrection is, and you know how we do that? By our example.
Okay.
See? Because the prophet said men need a pattern for their life. They love to follow and not to lead. And the man who stands upon the corners of the path and points the way but does not go is like a block of wood.
Okay.
See? This is what
All
you
right.
already chose. So you are the resurrection. See? Because you done let all those things go. You're no longer dead. Because when you into the world and doing the things of the world, you are dead. You
All
know,
right.
not physically, but mentally.
Yes.
You
Right.
just can't look at the teachings in the biblical scriptures as literally. Sometimes they're symbolic.
Yes.
Right.
Sometimes they're esoterical.
Yes.
Everything is not literally speaking in here because you got the spirit, you got the soul, and you got the flesh.
Okay.
So now, that's your 3 days. You in the flesh, then you in the soul,
Okay.
and when you get in the spirit, you can rise on that day.
All right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's
All right.
when you rise on that day, when you get into the spirit. Because you got to
Okay.
make a heaven on earth,
Right.
a heaven on the plane of soul,
Right.
and a heaven on the spiritual plane.
Okay.
And right down here on the earth is the third plane, so we're going to make heaven on earth, and we're going to call this third heaven.
Okay.
That's what Drew Ali brought us. And when Drew Ali brought us this, he said, these lessons for all those who love Jesus. Jesus is a saving power. Jesus is a holy name. And I'm so happy he's a holy name because I come from that same line genealogy.
All right.
Some of the great fathers through which Jesus came was Abraham, Boaz by Ruth, Jesse, King David, Solomon, Hezekiah, and Joseph by Mary. And you know Allah extended Hezekiah's time on earth, just like he extended ours. So
Yes,
we
sir.
thank Allah for it, Mo. So it's always an honor, always a blessing Moreover, it's always a duty to be able to come and just talk a little bit about Prophet Noble Drew Ali with you old timers. You know, but you know what? There's nothing new under the sun. So no telling how old you are, because we are over 10,000 years old. Time never was when we was not. The spirit has always been. We fell from the spiritual plane to the plane of soul and to the plane of things made manifest. Now we're on the plane of things made manifest. We're going back to the soul and we're into the spirit. We're in the spirit right now anyway, because we asked to come back. You know, out of those 10,000 sperm cells, we are the ones that fought our way in the ovary so we can come out here to do a work. Now we are conscious of our mission to the sons of men. So it's always an honor, a pleasure, moreover a duty to become before you great Moors to talk about the last prophet in these days and times. It's always good to see Moors who know that they're not Negro, colored, and black. Because Negro is a name given to a river in West Africa by Moors because it contained black water. Black, according to science, means death. And colored is anything that has been painted, stained, varnished, or dyed. They asked me the other day, say, why do you wear your crown all the time? Do you wear it when you go in the shower? I said, do the judge wear his robe when he go into the shower? So praise Allah. So may Allah forever bless us and keep us. The Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple. Know yourself and your Father God Allah, that you may learn to love instead of hate. Every man needs to worship under his own vine and fig tree, the uniting of Asia.
Islam. Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen.
Amen.
Peace.
Great change since I've been born. There's a great change since I've been born. The things I used to do, I don't do no more. Well, those things I used to do, I don't do no more. Well, those things I used to do, I don't do no more. There's been a great change since I've been born. The places I used to go, I don't go no more. Well, those places I used to go, I don't go no more. Well, those places I used to go, I don't go no more. There's been a great change since I've been born. The friends I used to have, I don't have no more. Well, those friends I used to have, I don't have no more. Well, those friends I used to have, I don't have no more. There's been a great change since I've been born. Prophet warns all Muslims, governors, all to read proclamation at each meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical agitating speeches while at work in their homes or on the street. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans and causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, and freedom. And when these principles are violated, justice then must take its course. Any member or group of members of the holy literature in the war of the temple or the prophet, or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement,